All right. Welcome to my channel, Pondering Tanner. This video is my Wicked Rhyme tier list. Now, you may have been bombarded over the last several weeks or months by Wicked content. This video is going to be about the lyrics, the rhymes in the music, either in the movie or the musical. Um, The lyrics are by Stephen Schwartz, is a fantastic lyricist and composer. He also made Pippin and he made Godspell. And so this video is honestly sort of to honor his composing and to roast it a little bit, his rhyming, his lyrics. But um, honestly, I just enjoy them so much that it's fun to poke fun here and there. So this is all in good faith. Let's see. What is it that what are my criteria? My criteria for like a good rhyme versus a bad rhyme, honestly, ultimately it's all totally subjective and based on vibes. But I'm also taking into account like whether something is a true rhyme or a slant rhyme. Stephen Schwartz uses a lot of true rhymes. Also, if it is a multi-rhyme, it's bonus points, and I'll highlight some of the excellent multi-rhymes later if multiple of the syllables rhyme, work with the rhyme instead of just the last syllable. And honestly, contrivance is a really big factor in my rankings. If it seems contrived or not that the character singing would actually be saying that in that way, if it seems like Stephen Schwartz was like, oh, I'm just going to slap these together because this rhymes really well with this, but it doesn't flow very well and doesn't make sense for the character, then I'm going to be taking points off. And the other thing is rhythm and scansion. Like, how do the rhythms of the two words that are rhyming like sync up perfectly? That gets major bonus points for me. Okay. So let's hop right on into it. All right, so here is the tier list, and I've represented each of the rhymes that I've represented each of the rhymes with a different picture, most of which are just puns or goofy little connections. All right, the first one is rhyming evil with believal. Galinda sings, at that point she's Glinda. Isn't it nice to know that good will conquer evil, the truth we all believe'll by and by outlive a lie? Rhyming evil with believal strikes me as a little bit contrived. It's not fully there. I'm not here for it. I'm putting this in the D tier. I know we're kind of starting off on a sour note, and we're only going to dive deeper before we get to the really incredible things. Okay, here's mm. In The Wizard and I, Elphaba sings, and since folks here to an absurd degree seem fixated on your verdigris. My brother and I would argue about what word this was that she was singing. I thought it was one of those made up Aussian words that are so fun and peppered throughout. No, verdigris is an English word from the French that describes the like blue-green color that copper turns, like the Statue of Liberty. Now, honestly, I'm just going to put this in the F tier. I think this is incredibly contrived to rhyme absurd degree with verdigris. I don't think the word verdigris belongs here. Describing someone with skin that is green like Alphaba's as verdigris doesn't even make sense. It's not the right shade. It's kind of barely green. Um, I'm really not a fan. I think he was like just anxious to he was like, I'm gonna use the word verdigris. What can I rhyme with that? Absurd degree. Perfect. Just because you can rhyme something does not mean that you should. And then moving on in the same direction, rhyming tartar with martyr. From What Is This Feeling? She's a terror, she's a tartar. We don't mean to show a bias, but Galinda, you're a martyr. Tartar, what? Like the bacteria gunk on your teeth when your dentist tells you you need to floss more? Um, it was actually so the Tartars were a people led by Genghis Khan, which includes the Mongols and the Turks in the 13th century. That word in English is used to describe someone who is harsh and fierce. So it's kind of giving like obscure slur, and it feels like Stephen Schwartz was just like, I want to rhyme something with martyr. Tartar, that works. Um, sure, yes. It makes sense that they're describing Elphaba as, it's displaying how um rejected she is or whatever, and how sort of cast off she is. I don't like this particular rhyme, so Tartar goes in the D tier. Um, Now we move on to Dancing Through Life, which is one of my favorite songs of the show. Um, yeah. So Dancing Through Life, the first rhyme that I'm going to highlight is surface and turf is. Dancing through life, skimming the surface, gliding where turf is smooth. This doesn't feel completely contrived for me. It kind of makes sense for Fierro to be saying this. This is a solid B tier rhyme, but because, and I'm gonna go on a whole side tangent about Dancing Through Life, because Dancing Through Life has such an excellent rhyme scheme throughout in this sort of pattern, I'm bumping Surface Turface up to A tier because of how good Dancing Through Life is. And instead of just going through each of the rhymes in Dancing Through Life, I'm going to highlight what I love about the rhyme scheme of Dancing Through Life right here. So the rhyme scheme, it has a lot of internal rhymes, which I think are fantastic. And Stephen Schwartz does a lot of this, as we'll see later. But this rhyme scheme is A, A, B, C, C, B. And, there are parts where it's a little bit bent, a little bit slant rhyming, but I think the whole thing together is absolutely fantastic. Dancing through life, skimming the surface, gliding where turf is smooth. Life's more painless for the brainless. That's your CC rhyme. Why think too hard when it's so soothing? So rhyming smooth with soothing. And that is what is called, at least in a sonnet, a feminine ending, sort of, where there's a last, an extra syllable appended to the end. I don't have a huge issue with this. I think the whole thing goes really well. And honestly, that sort of slight off-kilter rhyme, I think works really well for Fierro's character and this whole thing of sort of throwing off expectations and, just sliding along. So, anyways, moving on. Dancing through life, no need to tough it when you can slough it off as I do. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life, so keep dancing through. Now, I do recognize it is points off for rhyming nothing matters with nothing matters, but I'm giving Fierro a pass here. I just like this song. Dancing through life, swaying and sweeping, and always keeping cool. Life is fraughtless when you're thoughtless. Those who don't try never look foolish. So it's that same sort of feminine ending there. So excellent. Dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you're where less trouble is rife. Great word choice. Woes are fleeting, blows are glancing when you're dancing through life. Now, you say, fleeting and glancing is not even a slant rhyme. I hear you, but woes and blows are a rhyme. So it's slightly altered from like the pattern in the previous verses, but it maintains that CC rhyme scheme, and I think it's fantastic. You also get that bonus glancing and dancing internal sort of DD rhyme, which I think is also fantastic. Dancing through life down at the Oz dust, if only because dust is what we come to. Nothing matters, but knowing nothing matters. It's just life, so keep dancing through. Again, the nothing matters rhyme. Oz dust because dust, that's fun. The last one, dancing through life here at the Oz dust, if only because dust is what we come to. And here's the strange thing, your life could end up changing while you're dancing through. How fantastic. So that's a majority of Dancing Through Life, and then one of the little other ones, Nessa. So when Bach and Nessa are talking and Dancing Through Life, Bach says, "Listen, Nessa." She says, "Yes." He says, "Nessa, I've got something to confess, a reason why." This Nessa rhyme would be C tier to me, Nessa and confessa. But because there's a bonus rhyme in there, he says Nessa, she says yes, and then he starts his next line with Nessa. So you get Nessa rhyming with yesa and confess and that is enough to bump this up to the B tier. That's very fun. All right, now we're moving on to popular. Solid B tier rhyme. My tender heart tends to start to bleed, and when someone needs a makeover, I simply have to take over. These flowers are called bleeding hearts, as it is, yeah. But yes, that is a solid B tier rhyme. Tender heart and tends to start is a little bit of a multi rhyme. Um, and then, okay, here's another one that I have a bone to pick with. Um, don't be offended by my frank analysis. Think of it as personality dialysis. Now that I've chosen to become a pal, a sister, and advisor, there's nobody wiser. Hoo boy. Rhyming analysis with dialysis and apalasis. Dialysis is completely contrived. A pal, a sister, and advisor is kind of fun. And honestly, I think that multi-rhyme is going to bump this up to D tier. It's very close to F tier for me. Personality dialysis doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for Galinda to be saying. I'll leave that there. All right. But on the complete other hand, when I see depressing creatures, here's my depressing creature mask. When I see depressing creatures with unprepossessing features, oh my goodness. Straight S tier. This is such a perfect multi-rhyme. The scansion, the rhythm is perfect. When I see depressing creatures when I see with unpre, depressing, possessing, creatures, features. This is immaculate. It has a trochaic rhythm scheme. I think trochaic tetrameter, sort of a cousin of iambic pentameter, which is similar to the rhythm in The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, which here's just a snippet, just because I like it. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. Um, I love this, the way this moves and the internal rhymes. And so, yes, when I see depressing creatures with unprepossessing features is perfect for me. Absolute S tier. Celebrated heads of state or especially great communicators. Great, state, great, and Kate are all rhyming there, and you get the state or communicators. Um, this is an A tier rhyme. That's very fun. And here I've got certainly a head of state, the head of Oz, um, being the celebrated head of state for this particular picture. Yep, that's an A tier rhyme. Aptitude, way you're viewed, very shrewd. I have a little picture of a shrew down here for shrewd. It's not about aptitude, it's the way you're viewed, so it's very shrewd to be. I think this is a solid B tier rhyme, very fun. No notes. And though you protest your disinterest, I know clandestinely. This is a little clandestine, sneaky disguise glasses. Also a B tier rhyme. Very good. Protest, disinterest, clandestinely. Yeah, it works. You're gonna grin and bear it, your newfound popularity. Again, that slightly disjointed rhyme that honestly he's very good at making. Also gets a solid B tier. And of course, the picture of the grinning bear. Um, okay. I'm Not That Girl is one of those songs that I would always kind of skip when I was listening to the Wicked podcast. The Wicked soundtrack as a young theater kid. But it has an absolute A tier rhyme in it, and here I have a limb, a prosthetic limb emoji, and this rhyme is blithe smile, lithe limb. Now, and then bonus, she who's winsome, she wins him. Rhyming limb with him, but then also sort of like connecting winsome and wins him is very fun. And then blithe smile, lithe limb. These are like kind of obscure words that you don't hear in necessary everyday life, but they perfectly describe Fiero. And so for that, I'm giving this A tier. Blithe means kind of like callous and improper. So a callous smile is very Fiero, and then lithe means thin and graceful, which is also very much Fiero. So blithe and lithe are perfect descriptors for him, and for that, this gets A tier. Okay, one short day. I am just gonna straight put the whole Wizamania chunk. I'm highlighting Wizamania, and it goes to A tier. Wizamania is excellent. Who's the mage whose major itinerary is making all us merrier? Who's the sage who sagely sailed in to save our posteriors? Who's enthused for hot air ballooning? Has all of us honeymooning? Ooh, wasn't he wonderful, our wonderful wizard? Rhyming mage with major, sage with sagely. You get those little internal rhymes there that are very fun and echo each other. Um, Itinerary is making Allah's merrier, save our posteriors. You get that rary, merry, Terry rhyme, which is fun. Enthuse for hot air ballooning has all of us. Who's enthused? That's a fun internal rhyme. For hot air ballooning has all of us honeymooning. Yep. I love Wizamania. I love the like syncopated rhythm of it. Everything's perfect there. Um, okay, from a Sentimental Man. Another song that I'd often skip when I was younger. And helping you with your ascent allows me to feel so parental, for I am a sentimental man. Now, this would get like a B tier for me, except, for just rhyming ascent allows me, ascental and parental. That's a solid B tier rhyme and doesn't feel contrived. But the fact that they also rhyme with sentimental, makes that an A tier rhyme for me. Yep. All right, from Defying Gravity. Can't I make you understand you're having delusions of grandeur? Oh my goodness, this little delusional emoji. Absolute A tier rhyme. You understand illusions of grand. Fantastic multi rhyme. The scansion's perfect, and this makes sense. Glinda is like, um, why are you throwing everything away for, this like impossible ideal, right? You're deluded. You're shooting for the stars and you're going to miss everything else. Just take what's being offered and make the best of what you have instead of throwing it all away for some incredible thing that you hope for but like can never truly achieve. Um, it's honestly so characteristic of Glinda, and we see this in like Couldn't Be Happier and all of those things. Um, it's so well characterized. The word choice is perfect, and then the rhyme is also perfect. Dreams the way we planned them, if we work in tandem. This to me is just one of those C tier rhymes. It's pretty average, nothing wrong with it, nothing that makes me particularly excited. And nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was. Rhyming wizard with is or, sort of as an internal rhyme, is fun. I like it. I'd say this wizard gets a C tier, and there's nothing wrong with that. It may be on the edge of B tier, but C tier is looking kind of empty. We're about to put more there, but yeah. Okay, from Thank Goodness. Um, every day the terror grows. All of Oz is ever on alert. We've got our alert emoji. That's the way with Wicked, spreading fear where'er she goes. Terror grows, and where'er she goes is a little contrived, even though it's a good rhyme. I'm putting that in the C tier. Happy to share our ending vicariously with all of you. Share and vicarious. Um, nice rhyme. C tier. Yep. Still with this perfect finale, the cheers and the ballyhoo. This fish, I learned, is actually called a ballyhoo. This gets a B. It's fun. It fits Glinda. It fits the song. Um, making a big to-do about something is what ballyhoo means. Finale and bally. I think it's fun. Um, okay, here is a picture of Socrates. I never saw myself as a Solomon or Socrates. I knew who I was, one of your dime a dozen mediocrities. Now we get the internal rhyme of was and dozen. Rhyming Socrates with mediocrities works really, really well. It is not contrived for the wizard to be talking about this. This is very much the song. Wonderful. This works perfectly. He is a fraud, and he's actually not afraid to own up to that in his inner circle, which is really interesting. Now, from the same song, rhyming corn-fed hick with yellow brick. Hey, look who's wonderful, this corn-fed hick who said it might be keen to build a town of green and a wonderful road of yellow brick. I don't exactly know why. I kind of hate this, and this gets D tier. Corn-fed hick just is not doing it for me. Uh, Surely there's so many other things you could have used. Um, okay. A man's called a traitor or liberator. A rich man's a thief or philanthropist. Is one a crusader or ruthless invader? It's all in which label is able to persist. There are precious feuities with moral ambiguities, so we act as though they don't exist. Now, I would put this at B tier. There's just some solid good rhymes in there. Because it's all lumped together, I'd say it bumps up to A tier, but because there's such an excellent rhyme in here. It goes all the way up for this little Crusader picture, all the way up to S tier. And that rhyme in here, you get traitor and liberator, you get Crusader and invader, you get label and able as an internal rhyme, philanthropist with persist, to persist, super good, and then with don't exist, awesome. But there are precious few at ease with moral ambiguities is such a good rhyme. Now, it works as a multi-rhyme very well. Few at ease, few at ease. Um, yeah, that's it's so fantastic. But what's really good about this is this gets at oops, the thematic core of the musical, which is that people don't like shades of gray. People want things to be good or wicked, and they want themselves in the good category. People, when things might be morally ambiguous, they then have to contend with the fact that they themselves are morally ambiguous and can't just lump themselves in with good because they're normal and normal people are good. There are very few people who are at ease with these moral ambiguities, and that is like the central thing of the whole show. So that brings us absolutely to S tier for both being a great rhyme and being like basically the whole point. Um, and yeah, Elphaba gets absolutely screwed over because of that. Um, and then this last one, circumvented and what well meant did. No good deed goes unpunished. All helpful urges should be circumvented. No good deed goes unpunished. Sure, I meant well. Well, look at what well meant did. This one I will put happily in the B tier. Circumvented, what well meant did. What well meant did, that might seem a little clunky or contrived, but I quite like the line itself of sure I meant well, well look at what well meant did. I think it's a nice turn of phrase, and for that I give it B tier. The last thing I'll say before signing off this video is I love how much good vocabulary is in Wicked, words that aren't commonly used, words that I had no idea what they meant when I was little, but I think it's fantastic that it's so jam-packed with good vocab. So I'm giving my little bonus vocab corner. The word sear from dear old shiz, when gray and sere our hair hath turned. Sere means dry and withered, which is very cool. Fervid as a flame. It means very passionate. Perfect. Callow from Dancing Through Life means immature or experienced, which is very much Fiero. Um, Unprepossessing. Oh, I didn't mention this earlier. With my S tier, when I see depressing creatures with unprepossessing features, unprepossessing would have felt a little bit contrived to me, except for the fact that it's very much a real, not stretch of a word, and it means unpleasant to look at, unattractive, unprepossessing. I think that's absolutely perfect. Clandestinely, meaning secretly, great. Blithe, of course, and lithe, like I highlighted earlier. Hoi polloi, meaning the common people, the masses. It's from ancient Greek. Calumnies and lies. Calumnies are like slander or defamatory statements. So, like in the line, defaming our poor wizard with her calumnies and lies. is perfect. What a good word to use there. Vicariously living through someone else's experience, and ballyhoo, an extravagant publicity, and that very much is what the whole song Thank Goodness is, a big ballyhoo. So that is my Wicked Rhymes tier list, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video.